Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Ukiyo. This is a tiny little game from Walnut Games in the UK, just a tiny little box. This is the whole thing, and it is for 1 to 4 players. I played it at 2, and we'll probably just play it at 2, or 1 even, for a reason that I'll mention in a second. And the whole game is extremely simple. You deal out most of this deck of cards that looks like this. It has these different symbols on here in a 2x3 grid. And you will take turns playing one of these cards into a shared space on the table, potentially overlapping the card either perpendicular or horizontal to another card, overlapping if you'd like. So you can place it next to another card or on top of another card. So I could place, if only this card was on the table, I could place this one next to it. I could also overlap it like that, or I could even overlap just part of it, with the only rule being that you can't go beyond a 6x6 grid of these icons. So if these cards were like this, I could not place another card so that it would extend out here and create more than 6 of these icons in a row. The really cool thing about this game, so that's the general concept of the game, but the really cool thing about it is that all you are doing in the game is building towards having one final card in hand. So you start with all the cards that you will ever have in the game, you play most of them, and you end up with one final card. And say it's this card. This card has a unique goal on it. That goal is a diagonal line of 4 of any symbol. And so that means that over the course of the game, if I am working, let me get out of the glare here, if I'm working towards this particular goal, it means that at the end of the game, I want there to be a diagonal line of 4 of any symbol. And if I meet that goal, I will probably win, unless, you can see this goal is number 4, unless someone has a higher numbered goal. So here's one that I just pulled, 15. A vertical or horizontal line of 6 butterflies. So you can see how this one is just objectively harder than this goal because it's a higher number. But you know that, you have that information in your hand from the beginning of the game. You know exactly which cards are in your hand, what symbols you have, and you know the goals. And so you are playing cards, you're getting rid of goals that you could accomplish, essentially, so that the final card in your hand is a goal that you can accomplish. On Board Game Geek, it actually recommends this game at 1, and I can kind of see that because it makes it just purely a puzzle. You are trying to puzzle your way into the highest level goal. At 2 players, which I also really enjoyed. I enjoy the 2-player count. I haven't even tried the solo play. At 2 players, you are disrupting each other, except you don't know what goal the other player is going after. So in my first game, I think I was actually going after that butterfly goal. And my opponent didn't know that, but was starting to infer more and more about it because of the way I was placing cards. And he ended up disrupting that with a card. I don't think he knew exactly what was going after, but he saw that there was a bunch of butterflies on the table. And he was like, I better cover up one of these butterflies. So I like that. It keeps you paying attention to your opponent. There is essentially direct player interaction because you're all building the same shared space. But I also really like that the order in which you play the cards really matters because you're building towards that goal, and because the goal isn't decided at the beginning of the game, it's decided by the last card you play. And that might overarching be my favorite mechanism of the game. The idea that there isn't an upfront goal, rather there's an upfront variety of goals. Let's see, in 2 players, you each start with 7 cards in hand. So at the beginning of the game, there are 7 goals that you're potentially trying to accomplish, even though only one of them will actually be the goal that you end up being eligible for. It's the final card in your hand. And so in doing so, you might have 2 goals that are somewhat similar, maybe an easy one and a hard one that aren't in direct competition with each other. And you might save those cards so that at the end of the game, you can get as close as you can to ensuring that you meet at least one of those goals. I love this structure. I really, really like this structure of the game, of just kind of building towards that final card and determining which goals you are giving up along the way, as well as all the symbols on those cards. Really clever game. Ukiyo, I can't wait to play it again. Really, really clever game, especially for 2 players. And I think I might try the solo variant. It's so short, such a short game that it would be very easy for me to try the solo variant to see how it is. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game if you've played this, or if you've also played a game where you start out with a bunch of goals, but you end up getting rid of them and working towards maybe 1 or 2 of those goals near the end of the game. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks.